Morning, everyone. Great to see you all here in API Management Track, and welcome. My name is Thilini Shanika. I've been with WSO2 for more than a decade now. It's my 11th year, and has been involved in API Manager product from its early stages throughout its journey. So in today's session, I'm going to talk about an emerging but a critical, very critical requirement or a concern for the modern enterprises, how you manage your APIs across federated gateways. Before digging too much, let me give you an example and set the background on why we really need the Federation API management. Imagine you are a CTO of a global enterprise. Your business, digital business, is totally powered by APIs. You have several teams scattered across the globe, one in San Francisco, maybe working on AWS-based API management solution, one in Singapore, working and experimenting with AI workloads using edge computing. And you still have some legacy systems running in your system, which has been there for some time, maybe decades old legacy systems, still supporting some of your existing customers. You have the requirement to migrate them and modernize them, but still you can't have clean-cut migration. It takes time, and you have paying customers there. This is the typical situation of many modern organizations right now, especially when it comes to large-scale, globally widespread organizations. So imagine the struggle they are taking to manage all these systems, teams, and maybe APIs deployed across different clouds. Sounds really complex, right? But one might think that if you have more control over these systems, you can solve this problem. But if you are bringing more control, that will worsen things up. What you need is not more control, but the smart control. So that's where the federated API management comes into play. Before digging into what is meant by federation, what do we really need it, let's see how we got here. What made this transition from legacy API management solution to federated API management solutions? So it was not long ago, many enterprises, they totally relied on monolith applications, tightly coupled, rigid, maybe deployed as single unit kind of systems, right? But it was working fine for some times, but the evolution of APIs, evolution of the industry, we need to think about innovation and agility, so we couldn't stick with these old monolith systems. So then the enterprises, they started adopting microservices architecture, where we break down these monolith systems into multiple independent services, right? But we did not stop there. Then came the requirement where we have to distribute these applications or services across different platforms, deployed on different regions, maybe managed by different teams. So then came the distributed architecture. So many organizations started shifting towards it. The mix of both the API first architecture and this distributed architecture shift got us here. Things got more complex. We have so many APIs in the market distributed across different systems, and managing them is going to be a real nightmare for the enterprises. So let's see whether the traditional ways of managing APIs can solve the problem. So centralized API management used to be most commonly adopted API management approach. So even now, many organizations still follow this, where you have centralized control plane, centralized gateway, everything managed by one central IT team. So different lines of businesses, they delegate their responsibilities to this central team, and they manage all the infrastructure, configurations, governance policies, everything within this under this central control. So this is kind of a monolith approach. Still, many are using it. So there are benefits of this model, because you have this unified control over it. Everything is managed under single hood. And you have centralized policy management that indirectly brings consistency to the system. And most importantly, that's easier for the API consumers, because you have this holistic view of the your API management landscape. You can come and discover whatever the APIs you want easily. And developers don't have to worry about the complexity of the deployment and all, because central team or the DevOps team totally owns that. But there's a dark side of it. So this central team, this model is, it works well for small and medium scale enterprises, but when you start to grow, it brings lots of challenges to handle. First one is the bottlenecks, right? So this central team, it expects other teams to adhere to the governance or the security policies they enforce. So if you want to do a single change to your API, you have to go through lots of approval processes, procedures to get them applied into the production. It might take months to get one single change deployed into the production. That's the reality. And indirectly, that affects the agility. You really can't innovate or proceed with the emerging trends in the market, because you have this centralized control over your head, and it's difficult to try out things in the system. And this is the third point is something we also experience time to time, right? One API can affect your whole system, right? One glitch in your API might cause the gateways go down, and that will become a total nightmare for the people who are running businesses on APIs. And obviously, you can't scale this because it's a very rigid system. You can't plug in whatever the systems you want. It takes a long time, and you will have to stick in with limited number of technologies and vendors if you are using a centralized API management model. So one might think that okay, centralized API management is not going to solve the initial complex story that I explained you about. One might think that decentralization might solve it. So if you look into the decentralized API management, it's all about giving autonomy to the teams, right? They have their they have their autonomy to do whatever they want within their API space. They can try out different technologies, and if they work, they can quickly deploy them for the consumption. So lots of benefits that we can achieve from decentralized API management. You have full isolation, you are locally optimized. As I explained, you can innovate easily because you don't have this intervention from the central team. You have very limited scope, then you can try out whatever you want within that. Faster time to market, you can innovate faster, you have more agility, and you can go for the most appropriate technology that you want to use. Right? If you are adopting AI technologies, you can just go for it, try it out. If it works fine, then you can roll it out to the production. And obviously, this model allows you to scale your system easily because it is very flexible. But again, there are challenges we need to deal with. API sprawling and fragmentation. So since we have these decentralized teams, they don't have, nobody has this holistic view of whatever the APIs available in the whole ecosystem, right? That makes you, so API sprawling means like same APIs might appear in all different environments. So if you want to implement one single functionality, you can't reuse. Different teams might have to implement the same functionality in different ways. One might have implemented with proper security controls. One might not follow the standards and might come up with a weak API when it comes to security. And we can't guarantee whether the teams are following proper standards, best practices, or adhering to different guidelines set up by maybe government or different regions. And think about consumers, right? So you have this whole lot of systems running APIs on their own. When it comes to consumers, they don't have this central view. So discoverability is going to be a nightmare for them. So we looked into both centralized and decentralized approaches. There are good, there are benefits of them, but there are some negative side of them as well. So when it comes to addressing this centralized API, decentralized API management solution, we need to go for a hybrid approach, which means we are getting the positives of both models and come up with more balanced solution. So that's where the API, federated API management comes into play. Federated API management, the key principle of federated API management is giving the autonomy or empower the teams with right guardrails, with right controls on top. It provides decentralized ownership. Teams, they can do whatever they want within their own data planes, but there's a top layer who monitors this API and see whether there are any glitches, there are any APIs with security problems. So that layer makes sure that your system is secured. Right, so there are key principles that we need to focus when it comes to a federated API management solution when we are implementing that. So we need to promote decentralized ownership from API design to development throughout its life cycle. These decentralized teams own that. Then we have this centralized governance layer. So teams have the autonomy, but we have set of rules or frameworks that we have on top to manage this API for some extent and to make sure that they have followed best practices, design principles, whether they are adhering to the regional-wise requirements, compliance rules, that sort of things. And interoperability. In a federated API management system, we should be able to plug in any gateway, any runtimes to the system seamlessly. So when you are choosing tools, you have to think about it because the platform should facilitate plugging different systems and make them work seamlessly. Then unified developer portal experience. So developers, they don't care about where are these APIs coming, where are they deployed, who owns it. They don't worry about it. They need to have a proper centralized developer portal experience so they can discover whatever the APIs they want and use them in their applications. Self-service, again, it's all about autonomy. So we shouldn't have much of an intervention from the central team. to affect the empowerment within the team. There has to be some controls, but there has to be right balance of it. And then finally, so we need to have a holistic view of the system, right? You need to have a place where you can monitor the health of your systems, whether your APIs are properly designed, whether there are any glitches. So implementing a centralized observability solution is also very important, especially for the higher management people. So this is the typical architecture of a federated gateway system. So on top, at the heart, we have this central governance layer managed by the central IT team. So there can be different gateways, one deployed on different region, one managed by different BU, and one might be AI-specific gateway. So all of these runtimes are getting plugged to the central layer. There will be some plug-in kind of architecture to make this integration successful. All are getting integrated and work seamlessly. So, and then we have this central developer portal where the consumers come and discover these APIs and utilize them their applications without worrying about the underlying architecture or complexities. So I'll talk about most commonly used and adopted federated gateway models. So many organizations, they sometimes they go for regional-wise federation, where the gateways are federated across different requirements, maybe to support regional-wise compliance rules, that sort of things. And sometimes different BUs might have different requirements. The retail business unit might have their own ways of managing APIs, own ways of applying policies. Finance team might have totally different gateway runtime. And egress and ingress control. So egress traffic means there can be APIs in your system which are using third-party APIs. For example, we are using Twilio, Salesforce kind of APIs which are managed outside of your organization. That's what we called as ingress APIs. So egress APIs, ingress means the APIs that you manage within your boundary, API managed by yourself, and the traffic comes in from outside. So sometimes both of these traffics has to be managed separately. Different security controls has to be there. So sometimes the organization, they maintain two different gateways to support egress and ingress control. And then hybrid and multi-cloud strategies. One might need an on-prem gateway, one might need a gateway deployed on AWS. So different cloud strategies, they have to adapt it based on their requirement. And there can be specialized gateways. For AI, we might have special controls, special rate limiting policies, maybe some guardrails to PII masking, semantic caching. So we might need a special kind of gateway to handle that sort of traffic. And edge gateways has to be there. If you are working on edge computing or IoT kind of a solution, you need very lightweight gateways deployed near to the devices and GPU clusters. And event-driven. So event-driven, when it comes to event-driven use cases, you are processing huge loads of streams, right? So you cannot affect the other general traffic from this. So it's good to have a specialized gateway to manage them. And most importantly, now, especially when it comes to large organizations, different teams, they use different API management solutions. One might go for the API management solution with the most sophisticated control plane. One might go for the fastest gateway, and another team might have, because this, different vendors, their strengths are different, right? So people go for them based on their requirement or the use case they are implementing. But when it comes to an organization, managing all these API management solutions in under single hood, it's going to be difficult. So that's again something we should consider when implementing a proper federated API management solution. So when it comes to WSO2, we have been supporting federated API management for so long. I mean, like our on-premise gateway, which is the universal gateway, it has been supporting regional-wise, domain-specific and hybrid multi-cloud strategies from the very beginning. So, and we have our own gateway to handle AI-specific traffic. We have immutable gateway for special kind of scenarios. It's a lightweight gateway that you can run on immutable manner. And WSO2, we have the third-party gateway integrations. We have Solas integration. Solas is an event-driven gateway. And from API Manager 4.50 onwards, we brought the support for external API external vendor federation. So we started with AWS, and from the next release, we are targeting expanding our scope and bringing more vendor support. We are targeting to bring Con and Azure support with discoverability. So basically, I want to say that API management supports all of these models with our gateway stack available. So I'll talk about the key drivers for adoption of federated API management solutions. When it comes to large organizations, global organizations, they definitely need to go for geo-federated or BU-wise federated gateway models. And most importantly, many organizations are still, like they used to have some API management solutions before, but they are in the path of modernization. So this model allows you to keep the legacy system running as it is while bringing new modernized systems. You can make the migration in the middle, but since this model allows you to keep both systems running, it makes your life easy because you can gradually make the transition from existing one to the new one. And merging, there can be different BU mergers happening to the organization, different people and organizations, they acquire new companies. So in that case, sometimes if you don't have a federated API management solution, you might have to re-platform everything and give a smooth experience to the consumers. But with model, you can seamlessly plug in the existing systems and run without going for a re-platforming, which helps us to reduce the cost. And some organizations, they have cloud, the requirement of being cloud agnostic. And finally, there are some regional-wise rules that we have. For example, if you take Europe region, they are very particular about their data protection, and they have residence data protection rules. So if you are running a business in EU region, you have to be very careful, and you need to think about it when deploying a service or a gateway in EU region. So and especially when it comes to banking industry, again, you have a set of policies, maybe open banking kind of policies they have in EU. So when it comes to policy management, still specialized according to the business unit or the region that you're operating in. So there are several approaches that you can adopt federation. The first one is top-down approach. So this approach follows more of a API first kind of model. You design all the APIs from the very first day you start adhering to the centralized governance rules and policies established by the central team. So you design the APIs, you apply policies from the control plane and push down them to the gateway when it is production ready. This policy has some advantages because if you are adopting federated API management model from the day one, this is the most suitable one. And so the other approach is bottom-up approach, where we discover APIs from existing gateways and govern them. So in this model, there can be APIs already running in the system serving customers, but you don't have to intervene with it. You can discover the APIs and see whether they are adhering to the governance policies that you have in the system. So this model is very suitable when it comes to legacy migration or managing new mergers or acquisition, because you don't have to re-platform or redesign everything. You can give some grace period for the developers to fix the APIs according to the governance rules and policies they have. Implementing a federated API management solution, it's not a trivial task. There are a set of complexities you have to go through. I will focus on some of them and explain how you can properly overcome them using the best practices. The first one is operational complexity. You have diversified set of gateways running in your system. So think about the complexity of managing them. Different environments, different infrastructures. So the teams has to go through lots of struggle managing them. The solution would be going for proper automation, standardize your gateways, and use infrastructure as code technologies like Terraform to automate them. So when we are plugging in new gateway, you can follow the standards, you can follow the automations, and do a smooth integration. Next, consistency and security. It's true that we have all these governance policies and rules enforced, but how we are going to make sure that the teams are adhering to them. So that's why where we need a very sophisticated governance framework where you can identify what are the APIs with security glitches, what are the APIs who does not follow the best practices when designing. So this central governance platform or whatever the dashboard should provide you all the summarized data, so you can talk to relevant teams and get them fixed soon. And most importantly, we need to have a centralized policy hub. There will be 5-6 gateways running in your system. There can be some global policies they need to adapt from the control plane. So we need to have a centralized policy hub, but we need to make sure that whatever the policies available in there should be gateway agnostic. For example, if you want to add a header, you should, if you need to add a header to the system, I mean, it can be a mediation kind of a policy, but we shouldn't be expecting the developers to use gateway-specific language or technology to implement that header. You need to provide very abstract policies at the top. So they will be converted back to gateway-specific policies at the integration layer. So the developers don't have to worry about or keep in mind the syntaxes of all the policy languages supported by gateways. And most importantly, you need to do regular audits to see whether there are APIs which are not adhering to the policies. Tooling and interoperability, this is very important. So when selecting the gateways and the tooling, you need to be very careful because we are connecting two systems, right? We are connecting the control plane with some other gateway. So this gateway should should provide a set of system APIs to make this integration smooth. And most importantly, they should follow the standardized specifications like OpenAPI, maybe Kubernetes Gateway specification. So then you can seamlessly integrate them without worrying about the underneath way of managing APIs within each gateway space. And so many systems so many systems we need to run, right? So there will be lots of data coming in when it comes to the analytics platform. So you need to have a centralized analytics platform implemented, and again you need to have proper data retention rules, aggregation methods, summarization, because data means it adds an additional cost to your system, right? So we need to implement proper retention rules to get rid of all data and keep them in the system as summarized stuff. So most importantly, so throughout my session I talk about how this can be implemented technically, but half of the solution lies in the technically, but half of it lies in the way people managing it. There will be a cultural shift, and there has to be a collaborative environment that we have within the organization, where you can build a collaborative environment with the central team and all the others, other business units, so teams who manage different gateways. And it's very important to come up with a well-defined roles and responsibilities. Who is going to deploy the API? Who is going to manage the environment? Who is going to look into any violations? So there has to be separation that would make easy for the management. Federated API management is not for everyone. So many organizations still they are sticking up with old ways of managing APIs, but at some point they have to scale up. At some point they have to realize that the old ways are not going to work with the future demands and trends. So it's not a nice to have problem. It's something essential that you need to have in your organization. Okay, I come to the end of my session.